Welcome to Embracing Life Again. I'm Catherine Kaufer, transition expert and minister. Together, we'll break through life's toughest barriers, rediscover joy, and start dreaming again. It's time to embrace life fully with purpose, passion, and hope. Welcome to Embracing Life Again. I'm your host, Catherine Kaufer, where we bring inspiration through life's transitions. The purpose of the show is Embracing Life Again is to inspire women to find more balance and to feel a sense of freedom, to choose joy and to dream again as we collectively stand in our power, getting through your trauma and your loss and find joy and be able to dream again. So today I'm bringing back on Barbara Karin Sommer. And so today we will be talking about the difference between therapy and life coaching. So what is the difference? A lot of people have that question, so I wanted to bring it up. So before that, I wanted to remind you that Adventures of Zebby and Theo will be on 10 minutes after the show. Well, not after the show, but 10 the last 10 minutes of the show is watching Theo, my miniature Australian Shepherd, and Zebby doing work as their therapy, as they do therapy. So please, if you're on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and I thank you so much for watching. Hey, welcome, and I'm going to introduce you to everybody. So this is Barbara Karin Sommer. She is a Ph.D. intern, and she has been studying mind-body medicine since 1995. And she has a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, and it's a doctorate in acupuncture and Chinese medicine. So sorry about that. Got to get that on there. It's very important that you have a DR in front of your name, yes?
It's a doctorate of acupuncture and Chinese medicine.
So does that mean you can say you're a doctor?
Yes, I am a doctor.
See? That's what I said. You put a doctor in front of your name. Anyway, so today we've decided that we're going to give you the difference between therapy and life coaching. So are you ready? Mm-hmm. And little one's here again, and he's whining at the moment, so he may be going in my bedroom.
Little Theo.
Little Theo. So we're going to understand the difference between therapy and life coaching. So when should someone consider therapy, and when is life coaching a better fit?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So I would say that therapy really delves into some of our past childhood adverse experiences, as well as seeking to understand why we think and act and behave the way that we do. Whereas coaching seeks more to understand where do we want to go? Where do we want to have you go in the future? So creating a life vision, goals, action steps, and things like that for both personal and professional goals. In therapy, we have therapeutic goals, but they're just framed a little bit differently than in coaching.
Okay. Well, a lot of times we hear that therapy looks at your past, whereas coaching looks at your future.
And
right?
then they meet in the middle,
and then
in the present.
And so is that the key distinction?
I think that it is one key distinction. It's not that a coach could never look at someone's past and where some of their blocks started. However, At the same time, I would say therapy more so looks at someone's past and what has influenced how they think, what they believe about themselves, what they feel about themselves, what their limiting beliefs are.
Right.
Where a coach could identify some limiting beliefs, but a therapist might delve into the root of it a little bit more. Whereas
Gotcha.
a coach would just seek to have you prove to yourself something different. So if you don't think that you're good enough, a coach would be like a cheerleader, encouraging you that you are good enough, that you can do this, that you can make your dreams come true, and help you prepare a plan on how to get there.
Right.
A therapist can also be encouraging and give you empathy and compassion. I would say maybe a therapist is a softer approach. Sometimes a coach can be a little bit like kick you in the behind, get you move forward. Whereas a therapist is, like coddle you a little more.
Oh, interesting.
Give you more compassion and empathy.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I know when my husband died, I went through therapy because I did not know who I was without him. Because I'd been married. I got married at 22. Didn't even know who I was then, right? Pretty much. And then you're married for 30 years. You kind of entwine, and you're like, who's who, right? So I went through therapy first.
Yeah, and I think that's appropriate to find out, who am I after 30 years of marriage?
Right,
Who am I, just me alone?
right.
Yeah.
So I did that, but now I do more life coaching.
Well,
So,
because now
yeah.
you're focused more on your business. And, I would say a coach would be much more appropriate
Right.
to helping you with business goals. Both a coach and a therapist could help support a relationship. I would say a therapist a little bit more would give you skills like communication skills, for instance, to work on building a relationship, whereas maybe a coach would help you figure out where you're going to meet people, and that you're going to do 1 or 2 steps a day to go out there and
The therapy does
meet
that
new
too,
people and
at
stuff
least
like
from
that.
what I remember.
I mean, it can cross over,
Right.
but just the orientation, I would say, is a little bit different in that regard.
So are they trained differently?
Definitely, yes. So a therapist is usually either a marriage and family therapist, which is a master's degree, a licensed social worker, clinical social worker, which is also a master's level. Then you have 2 types of clinical psychologists, either a Ph.D. or a S3E4, meaning psychological doctorate.
Oh, well.
And they can also be called clinical professional counselors,
Which
CPC.
takes years.
Right.
Yeah.
So a
So many
doctorate
years
would
of
take
training.
like a decade by the time you finish your internship and all of that, 3,000 hours. I think both the master's level and the doctoral level do 3,000 hours, but it's just done a little bit later in the doctoral program, but there still is a practicum that you have to do on the master's level when you do a doctoral program. So a therapist and a doctor of psychology
Yeah.
basically have significant more training on how to do psychoanalysis, go into someone's background, understand what their childhood adverse experiences are, why they think and behave and feel the way that they do about themselves, in order to really get to the root
Right.
of it. Whereas a coach could address it on a different level, but not the same level
Right.
as a therapist. Does that make sense?
It does. Is it ever appropriate to work with both a therapist and a life coach?
Yes, absolutely. You could be doing both at the same time, because the coach could help you make personal and professional goals, create a life vision for yourself, create more concrete action step. For instance, you would do SMART goals, something that's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. That's what a coach would help you do.
Interesting.
So a therapist could help you make a therapeutic goal that you want to work on your coping skills and mindfulness skills in order to lower your anxiety and stress and maybe depression, to help you process emotional blocks from the past or even things that are going on in a relationship. A therapist could help you support having a healthier relationship and teach you how to do that.
Yeah.
And give you psychoeducation from either cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, acceptance commitment therapy, other communication skill-oriented techniques like Marshall Rosenberg, nonviolent, compassionate communication.
Right.
There's a whole methodology to that. There are probably 40 different therapeutic ways to, to help someone, have healthier relationships and feel better about themselves.
Right.
So a coach may have actually taken a CBT training. They could get a certification in cognitive behavioral therapy,
Right.
but they may not have the whole rest of the wheelhouse that a therapist has.
Correct. That's why they usually specialize
Right.
in something. Right. In like my dating coach or my my
Right.
business coach, or
Yes.
because I have all those. So
Like if you take weight loss, for instance, you might find a personal trainer who has taken life coaching and has a program on how to help women, something very specific, or just men, lose weight, or maybe both, but often they'll pick one or the other and try to focus it. And then someone buys the program where it includes a workout and diet and
right.
all of that. You could go to a therapist to help you with maybe emotional eating, for instance, and
Right.
why you feel this empty void inside yourself that you want to fill,
Yeah.
and where that came from. So a therapist could additionally help you along with the personal trainer or coach.
True. True. You can also do what's that?
The hybrid?
No, the hypnosis therapy.
Oh, yes. Oh, we're going to do a show on that later.
Oh, we are we? Okay, cool. So right now we want to address any common misconceptions. So some people hesitate to go through therapy because it's associated with there's something being wrong. There's something wrong with me, right? And how is that view different from how people approach life coaching?
I really can relate to that because when I was little, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. My father in particular, and I love him dearly, he passed away when I was 13. But I do remember him saying things like, oh, why would anyone want to go to a therapist? You must have some real mental problems there, or that was just kind of the attitude of people back then. But, 40 years later, we live in a very different culture, especially out here in the West.
Oh, yeah.
California, Nevada.
Yeah.
The attitude is very different, that it's very personal growth oriented here. And so it's
Which
no
I like
longer,
a lot because I'm very,
exactly.
yeah.
It's much more oriented towards something that's positive, and that you don't have to have something wrong necessarily to go to a coach.
And come
Or a
on, we all
therapist.
have something.
Yeah, we all have something to work on.
Something. We haven't arrived.
Right. And then there's another misconception that maybe you have to be super successful to even need a business coach.
It's not true.
And that's not true either. It's
No.
not one extreme or the other.
Right. So true.
It's just someone who can help support you to meet your goals.
Okay. What are the biggest misconceptions people have about both therapy and coaching? Is there bigger misconceptions than just I have a problem?
Well, I think we touched on it, where if somebody was not successful enough that they think that they need a coach, or if they're super successful,
They don't need one.
then either they need one to get to the next level, or that someone may say they don't need it or
Right.
something, but just don't listen to any of that. That's just people trying to second guess what they don't understand,
Right.
I think. So I think that a therapist and or a coach is appropriate for everyone. It's often done at life stages, at life transitions,
Right.
I should say. That is often the time when people look for a coach
Correct.
and or a therapist.
Correct.
Like you had a death of a loved one the way that you had. Maybe you have your children going to college and now it's an empty nest, and what do I do with my life, and who am I now that I'm not a mom or dad every day? So I think it's helpful to have support. It's not that anything's wrong.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yep. You grow into your next transition is
right.
how I emphasize it.
And I think it's
Right?
really important to define, where do I want to go? Where do I want to be in 5 years, 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
and beyond? Where do I want to be a month from now? You know, because if I don't define anything about what I want to do and where I want to go, I can become stagnant.
So true.
So if, you know, you want to be growth minded, then I think it's really good.
Yeah, but so many people just want to exist.
And you know what? There's a time and place for that too. Just relax and go with the flow.
I get it. But some people exist all their lives, and that was my mom.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't know how else to do anything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I grew up with Stephen Covey planner.
no, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want to end up like that. So now I'm on the other end where I'm always wanting to do something, right? I'm always wanting to improve every single day, even if it's just one little thing, right?
I think that when I was young, I used to overplan everything.
Oh.
You know, I'm doing, English homework at, 4:30 to 5 o'clock, and then I'm doing the next homework, and then I'm eating dinner, and I would have it planned out to the minute, and then
that would drive me nuts.
I wouldn't be able to finish it all in time, and it would throw off my whole thing. So then I just started making lists, and then doing A's and B lists, and 1, 2, 3, prioritizing. That seemed to work much better for me.
Interesting.
I had more flexibility.
Oh, wow.
But that's one thing a coach could teach you if you'd never heard of it.
Oh, I've never done
time management.
Time management has not been my friend.
See, we can do that.
So can life coaches diagnose mental health conditions like anxiety, PTSD?
PTSD.
Did I say PSD? PTSD. And are there risks if someone chooses coaching when they really need therapy?
So a coach should not be diagnosing.
I figured that one.
The differences. But if somebody says, I have anxiety, and then they come to the coach saying, well, one goal I have to work on is to be calmer and lower my stress levels. To a certain degree, a coach might be able to help cultivate some coping skills, encourage you to have a walking routine or an exercise routine to lower stress, which could relieve anxiety, but then they're not treating anxiety. That's what a therapist would do.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Right.
So a coach could address indirectly that anxiety and stress without therapeutically treating it. Does that make sense?
So therapeutically treating it, are you talking about drugs?
Right. No, I mean,
no.
So
okay.
A therapist or psychologist wouldn't even give you drugs anyway. So a therapist would be the one that would diagnose.
Right.
Things like post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety disorders, depression disorders, bipolar disorder, which would be more extreme.
Right.
Anxiety and depression. They would diagnose things like schizophrenia or borderline personality disorder, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and all of those. That's why it takes so much more schooling to learn what each of those are, what the differential diagnosis is, and what the psychopathology is. And actually, that is one distinction between a master's level therapist and a psychologist at the doctoral level, because the doctorate program involves much more psychopathology and differential diagnosis.
Got it.
Even though the marriage and family counselor or therapist, MFT, or clinical social worker would also have to put a diagnosis in the health insurance.
Oh.
Because you need to get paid, you have to have a diagnostic code. But you would go to a clinical psychologist for more psychological testing and assessment for more serious disorders. And things like that. So, and then a psychiatrist would be the one that would give any drugs. So a psychologist would not.
Right.
A psychologist would only do psychotherapy.
Wow. So how important is it for clients to know the boundaries before they decide which kind of support to seek.
Yes, and so that's what I was going to say about life coaching.
Yeah.
There could be some crossover with life coaching and therapy in regard to that there are some therapists who have recognized and have gone into the coaching world where they have the background in therapy, and then they want to be able to help people more, so they scale up and they do group coaching.
Ah.
And so then you might have a program that was put together by some kind of level of therapist, who then crosses the bridge over into coaching in order to have a program on how to help anxiety or depression, or parenting skills, or communication strategies, any number of things, that could relate to the wheelhouse of therapy and emotional processing, but then done individually and or a group setting, as well as having recorded videos and things like that for the psychoeducation part.
Oh.
Because we can spend a bit of time explaining to people in therapy, as well as in coaching too, different aspects of what you have to teach them that will help skill building and understanding, like say how the nervous system works, things that we repeat over and over again. So if I could build a program that would have all of that content, then I would free up more of the individual time to work with the client,
Right.
on whatever their particular issues and blocks are.
Gotcha. Okay. So if someone in my audience is struggling with grief, anxiety, feeling stuck, how can they decide whether therapy or coaching is most helpful?
It depends on how they're feeling stuck.
Okay.
So if you're feeling stuck with your time management and not being productive, then maybe a coach would be better for you. A therapist could help you with that too, but I would say that is more in the wheelhouse of a coach.
Okay.
Setting concrete goals and action steps. And then having the accountability. That's one thing that a coach does, is hold you accountable, that you said you wanted to, work out 1 hour a day. Did you do that this week? Which days did you do it and which days didn't you? And you have to be honest. When you ate that piece of cake, did you say it was a carrot on your journal? They can only help you if you're honest. Well, why didn't I lose any weight that week?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't put
That
X, Y, and Z
cupcake.
on there. That ice cream and.
Yep.
So that would be, I would say that's more the wheelhouse of the coach. Whereas if you have deeper emotional processing and wanting to understand why I tick the way that I do, and where those beliefs formed in childhood, and from childhood adverse experiences and relationships with family dynamics, that's psychotherapy.
All right.
And that's when you would want to go to a therapist.
So
Also, if you were diagnosed with anxiety or depression, for instance, I think you would want to go to a therapist to help you process those emotions. Whereas you could also work with a coach on other aspects of it.
Correct.
Like, because I have my depression, I don't want to get out of bed and do anything. So if you work with a therapist to help you get out of bed, then you can work with the coach to help you get motivated to do something. And then both together will help you.
Sure. That's a good one. That's good. Can you give us examples of what type of questions a therapist might ask versus the kind of questions a life coach may focus on?
I could imagine, and I do as a therapist.
Well, you're also a life coach, so go
That's
ahead.
true. All right, let me rephrase.
So you know this. You know this question. Yes.
As a therapist, I would say things like, tell me more about that. When did you first experience that?
Okay.
What else was happening around then? A coach might not be concerned about any of that. A coach would be more concerned with, where do you want to go in your life and how are we going to get you there?
Okay.
And so a coach, when I would put on my coaching hat, I would ask questions more like along those lines. So we're going to define the vision that you have for the next 5 years. We're going to look at different areas of your life, of relationships, of business goals, of other personal goals, quality time with your spouse and your children. And then how you're going to structure your day and your week in order to support each of those relationships and find more balance in your life. And then also creating goals and action steps, like for business that, you're going to make 5 phone calls a day, and, you're going to get on your social media and do your post or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I would be asking questions in that arena. And then if it came up that, wow, I just feel really stuck today, I feel unmotivated, I'm just sad about something. Okay, well, I can take a few minutes to support you emotionally and encourage you and remind you about why you're doing this, right?
Right.
And that's what I would do as a coach. Whereas a therapist, I would probably spend a little more time. Okay, let's sit in that sadness for a moment. Where do you feel that in your body? And then let's breathe through it. Let's do different coping skills in order to process that feeling of sadness or feeling stuck. What sits underneath it?
Okay.
That's what I would do as a therapist. So see how that's a little different?
Yes.
And both are valuable.
I could see how they work together.
Yeah, they were complementary.
They're very complementary together, yes. Yeah. So for action steps, what questions should someone ask a therapist or a coach before deciding to work with them? What's a few good questions so they know that they're picking the right one?
Yeah, you could ask about their educational background, their experience. Say if you had a business coach, did they have any business background before? Even if they didn't have an education with a business degree, maybe they still worked in some kind of business capacity where they learned on the job. So then you could decide, well, is that matching what I need from a business coach? You could also ask them to describe their program, and what is entailed in what you would be learning.
Okay.
I would say the biggest thing, though, is both a therapist and a coach would have the mission of uplifting and inspiring whoever they're talking with.
Right.
And so if you sense from them that they genuinely care, that they're able to develop a rapport with you, that they want the best for you and they want you to succeed, and that you feel comfortable with them, then I would say that is not the question, it's the experience that would tell you that this is someone to work with. Because the best therapists and the best coaches will help facilitate a state change mentally and emotionally.
True.
With their mindset, with their emotional state. Like Tony Robbins, for instance. He'll get you all riled up and, get you to walk across those coals, right? Because
and I did.
You faced your fear.
He did.
And you have a state change. And then you believe that you can do things that you couldn't do before because you did that.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So we wouldn't be doing that in every coaching session.
Yeah. Right.
But something similar. That's just an example.
Right. Well, for me to pick my coaches that I've had in the past, their story. Could I relate to their story and how they overcame whatever they're teaching now? Because that's usually what a life coach is. I mean, they go through something and then they have figured out a way to get through it, and then they teach you that program.
They turn their mess into a message, and then they help you with the same thing that they went through and found the other side.
Right. So I usually want rapport with them pretty quickly, because if you're not working with someone that you don't feel good about, I guess it's the best way to put that.
If it isn't quite clicking in or something.
Yeah, you just don't get a good, then go on to the next. Because you want to be comfortable with that person. You want to be able to tell them what's going on with you instead of holding back and going, I don't think I could tell this person that.
Right, if you feel like they're being judgmental
Right,
or critical and
that's not the right one.
Arrogant or something like that, you don't want to work with them. You want someone who's empathetic, compassionate, but who will also, inspire you to press forward.
True.
But how that's done, I think, is really important. Because I personally don't like a coach who just, kind of kicks you in the butt. I don't like that approach.
Or
so
they just read their.
Oh yeah, they read the script.
They just read whatever they wrote down, and they don't individualize it for you. It's very important that it be individualized for you, because everyone's different.
Yes, I like that too.
And it's not cookie cutter. We're not all cookie cutter, right?
Right. And that's why I think that having some recorded content of psychoeducation, then having individual sessions to really customize it to that person, then afterwards following it up with some group coaching where you can hear the stories of some others as well, and maybe you don't need quite all of that emphasized one-on-one support, but you need just a little bit to keep you going and remind you.
Right.
Then group coaching is perfect for that afterwards. But I would say that's the progression that I like, that I found.
Okay.
And what I've created in my programs too.
Okay, cool. For anyone watching who knows that they need support, but they aren't sure where to begin, what would you say to help them take the first step?
I know that it can take courage to take that first step, to make a phone call, to tell someone that you're having a challenge with something, because not all of us want to admit that we need some support or help. But I think it's worth it. And I'm willing to give people a free 30-minute consultation, to see, would therapy be more appropriate? Would coaching be more appropriate? And then I have a lot of resources and referrals that I can customize to meet what you need.
Okay.
So I'm here to support all of you.
Okay, cool. So with that being questioned, if you can leave our audience with one key piece of advice about choosing the right kind of support on their healing and growth journey, what would it be?
I think that it's if you feel safe with someone, if you feel like they uplift you, and that at the end of the conversation they made you feel better about yourself in some way, then that's the person to work with, whether it's a coach or a therapist. And I think that the therapist and the coach have the responsibility to tell the client, I can help you in this way. I'm going to need to refer you out for this other part.
Yeah.
That maybe you need a little more support with emotional processing that you could do with a therapist additionally. For instance, I can help you this amount, right? As a coach.
Right. One of the biggest thing is start.
Get up off the couch and make that phone call.
Just start. Just put one foot in front of the other and just start your journey. Right.
Yes.
And
reach out to us too.
It will unravel. I swear it will. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And sharing your insight. And Ms. Barbara, where can our viewers go to find you and learn more? And then are you offering anything to my viewers today?
Yes, I would love to give you my email. It's Barbara Karin 17 at outlook.com. BARBARAKARIN 17 @ outlook.com. And I would love to work with you and offer you a free 30-minute session, consultation, to see what you need and where you are in your life. So
Okay.
hope you take me up on it.
Oh, cool. So, okay, yeah. So you gave him your email. So that's good. And then you can always email me at info@embracinglifeagain, and I can also give you that information. So thank you so much for joining us today. And coming up is Adventures of Zebby and Theo. Bye for now.
Coming up next, Adventures with Theo and Zebby, right here on Embracing Life Again with Catherine Kaufer.
So I am with Zebby right now. He's actually right here just kind of plugging along. He doesn't feel that great, but we need to get him out sooner than later. And this is his buddy Macho. So we're bringing Macho out with him, so if he does come up to a dog, we can see how he reacts, and then he'll probably look to Macho to see, oh, it's okay. But anyway, you'll see us walk down the street, and we're probably going to be going to the vet clinic, which is right down the street, and see if there's any dogs there for him, to see how he reacts.
Zeb's not feeling too well today.
So the reason I am carrying this now is because if a dog does come at me, I will forewarn the owner that I will smack the dog. So it's not to hit Zebby or anything, it's just to keep the dog out of our range. Just if you're wondering why I have the little prop. So this is the trail that Zebby was on when he got attacked, and there are two dogs coming up. So we're gonna see how he does. So Phyllis, why don't you go with me? And there's a horsey too.
They are adorable.
Hello. Oh, it's just a little one of you.
Now, are they minis or ponies?
They're mini.
They are minis.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Can I see how he is? He got attacked by a dog that was off leash over here last Thursday, and I just want to make sure he's okay because he was really timid.
Do you need us to do something?
No, I just wanted to see if he'll come up to you.
Yeah, that's right. And this one's friendly.
I think this one is too, although he sometimes barks at other dogs.
Hi, sweetheart. A little Frenchie. Are you okay with him?
Oh, yeah, probably want to play.
You're doing so good.
I'm sure he'd like to play with the horses.
You can come around.
He likes to play with the cows, but he gets
Oh, you're doing so good, Zeb.
Yes.
Good boy.
Good job, Zebby.
Yeah, he's a therapy horse. You
Yeah,
have
I've been
to
over
go
there
stuff-
to volunteer.
Right, with dogs, right? Oh yeah, it is
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I haven't been called yet, but I would, I was out just
Sweet Frenchie.
Yeah.
We got three puppy interactions.
Hi,
There we go.
baby.
all the,
You're doing
so good. You're doing good, Zeb.
the dog just jumped. Oh,
A dog was circling us and just hit his hind end, and he's still yucky from it. Yeah.
Zach, you said?
Good job, Zebby.
Zebby.
Zebby. Doing wonderful.
I know. We're here to bring smiles and hope. That I can't tell you what he'll do because he had to fight off the dog.
Yeah, probably
So
should
when
have
he,
seen.
this is Macho, and he's a little nippy. So no, Macho is Phyllis's, and he also belongs to the car.
Okay. Naughty but nice.
You're being a good boy.
No reaction whatsoever. That's wonderful, Zebs. You
Say
did
hi to Rocco again to make sure.
Yeah, say hi, Dad.
Boy, it got nice and warm today.
You did good. And so he was so skittish coming home seeing any dogs that I'm like, oh no. He can't be afraid of dogs because he works with dogs, right? So
He's doing
that's
really
good. You're doing really good, babe.
Good job,
You're
Zebby.
doing so good.
Good job. He's like, yeah, this dog doesn't scare me.
It was a Siberian Husky mix, and he had bi eyes, right? But they just didn't look right. You know how you know a dog, this doesn't look right that day, and he didn't look right, and he wasn't right. Oh, hi, honey. So, I brought this just to fend them off.
Yeah, so smart.
Fend anybody off. Yeah, 'cause, I mean,
You're
this
doing
is
so good.
what he does, and he can't be like
Right.
trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is good because he's.
That's really good.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
you're
not
so
reacting at
good.
all. That is
See,
perfect,
there are
Zeb.
nice puppies out there.
Good job,
There are
Zebby.
nice puppies. Not all of them are gonna bite you.
Good job, Zebs. Oh, good job, Zebby.
Thank you.
Thank you for interacting.
Are you going back home? Okay. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Good job, Zebby. And Macho, too. That was wonderful.
You've taken the first step to embracing life again. Let's continue to break barriers, find joy, and dream without limits. Join us next time, and let's discover inspiration through every transition together.